I've officially received a request for a tour of my greenhouse, so here we go. On the northern wall here I have most of my seedlings and various clones that I started off. Got some mints and some original attempts at aquaponics. Above all that I have my shelf with my wonderful dollar store pots filled with assorted herbs. Here we have the strawberry bin. It's a very basic aquaponic setup. It's been pretty much let to go wild. We're kind of hoping the strawberries will take over the entire Rubbermaid container. Down beneath it here, although you can't see them, I have feeder fish in there. They may be tiny, but they do the trick. Over here we have the original aquaponics bed that I've had to put some 2x6s under to support the sides. It was bowing out a little bit on me. And beside that we now have the new aquaponics bed that I built from various bits of lumber that were around the yard, and I got a great deal on some pond liner from the local art naps. Over here we have my so-called workstation table, which is a mess, but it's a workstation, so that's to be expected. On the southernmost point here we have, beyond the tripod, some wicking containers with some of my favorite peppers on the left. These are Bolivian rainbow hot peppers. And then here we have some red Thai peppers, incredibly hot, incredibly spicy. And down here we have some nice child-safe Medusa peppers, wonderfully colorful and just an amazing taste. Dead center of my greenhouse I have a support beam holding it all together, which I've started to use to hang my sunflowers off of so the birds don't get them. This is perhaps the best angle to demonstrate just how lazy I was when I built this greenhouse. All of my wood frames are simply rectangles that I stacked together and beside each other to make as much of that arc as possible without any actual complicated cutting. For the middle posts, I took some 1/2 inch PVC irrigation pipe and simply bent it over and attached it at the bottom on some of my handy 2x6 frames. Because these irrigation pipes bend so well, you can find many clips available on YouTube that show you just how easy it is to use them to make a hoop house or a greenhouse. The main piece of the outside is covered with a single piece of plastic just purchased at the local hardware store. Big roll, 25 feet long, 10 feet wide. Worked quite well over my 20-foot irrigation pipes. Left a little bit at the bottom. What I did on the bottom outside here was I just took some 2x3s that I had lying around, pulled the plastic nice and tight, screwed them in as support braces. For the front and back, where the doors and windows are, I had to get a little bit more creative, so I took some wood strips with some small screws and attached the plastic pieces that way. So I just feed my fish these standard pellets that I got from the Walmart. Nice and cheap. Around here it costs about $6 a tube. The first feeding this morning, so hopefully they'll come out and play. But as seems to be typical, my fish are kind of camera shy. That half bucket that you see in the bottom is my solution to the fish tank heater. Last winter my fish were constantly popping it off the side, and I'd come out in the morning to discover it floating along the top of the tank. Most fish tank heaters come with a little clip to attach the heater to that'll have some suction cups on the side of it, but since my fish were so pushy and liked to move it around, I drilled a couple holes in the side of the bucket, used the zip strap where the suction cup should go, and they've been unable to relocate the heater so far. In an earlier clip, I showed my lemon balm, which had recently been harvested, and as I said, it would look quite lush in just a couple of weeks. Here we are, maybe 2 weeks later, and it's ready to harvest again. Over beside it here, the chocolate mint is wonderfully overgrown. Herbs do amazingly well in the aquaponics system when you're first getting it established, but don't be afraid to try anything you can think of. Now that the bacteria and all the various microcultures are established, we are able to produce fruit on the tomatoes. I am very pleased to report that. And the one has now become 3, and the tomato branch has become a plant on its own that I've had to tie up to my central support pillar. I look forward to seeing just how tall that's going to get before the winter takes it down. In the new bed, I've transported most of the things from my desert tank, and a lot of my herbs and chard. Looks much more organized now. The one light that I have going in here is a 2-watt LED light. Produces a wonderful blue light that the tomato seems to just be loving. And while you can't really see it when it's on in the daytime, it is wonderfully bright at night. Surprisingly so for 2 watts. One thing I wanted to share with everybody was just how well this particular tomato is doing. This is a Tumbling Tom tomato that we got for 10 cents on discount from one of the local garden supply stores. I forget which one. I've got it sitting in one of my self-watering wicking containers. And if we lift it up here, you can get some idea of just how many little tomatoes are growing on this thing. I'm very impressed, and I will definitely say that I got my 10 cents worth. If you have the opportunity when planting your garden to get these Tumbling Tom tomatoes, I strongly recommend them. They are incredibly delicious cherry tomatoes.